Hi, everybody. I'm Trish Laub, and welcome to A Cup of Comfort with me. This is about you, the care hero. Whether you're new to the show today or you've listened to some of the shows, I encourage you to visit the CareHero radio page of my website, trishlaub.com. That's TRISHLAUB as in boy.com. I've already covered several important CareHero topics. I just want to take a minute today to check in with everyone and ask how you're doing. Things going well? Are you hitting some roadblocks? Is there a topic that I can cover that would be helpful to you? If so, go to my website, trishlaub.com, and contact me. Let me know what it is that would be helpful to you. I want to be as helpful as possible to you, the care hero. So I met my guest through social media, which is for me is a little unusual, and was immediately blown away by her story. She was actually asking for people to let her know who was in the industry and available to help some people that she works with. And I think she would agree that she turned a mess into a message and much, much more. So Christina Keys chased the American dream. She had a successful career, traveled, was financially stable, healthy, and happy. Then on March 16th, 2013, at 3:42, she remembers the time, everything changed. Her mother had a life-changing stroke and was given a 1% chance to live. Christina instantly went from career woman to caregiver. Within 4 years of caregiving for her mother, she was financially, emotionally, mentally, and physically bankrupt. The doctors told Christina that she would be lucky to live 6 months, if that. Her body was literally shutting down from the stress of caregiving and trying to do it all alone. She had a choice to make: figure out how to change her life and live while caring for her mother, or give up and start making arrangements on how her mother could be cared for after her death, after Christina's death. She chose to live and not only change her life, she now helps to change the lives of caregivers who struggle while caring for loved ones. Christina turned a mess into a message and made it her mission to make sure caregivers everywhere are seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, and are never alone. So I am really excited to welcome Christina Keys. So
Hey,
good to see you.
thanks so much for having me on today. I'm very grateful.
I'm very excited about this. So there is so much to your story. I mean, so many elements to it that I just want to kind of jump right in. And if I take a direction and you want to go a different one, just speak up. You know your story far better than me. So I kind of mentioned your life before caregiving. So can you just tell me, like, in a little nutshell, what your life was like before March 16th, 2013, and what happened that day?
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, my parents taught me to chase the American dream. I found a job that I love. I worked at it for 20 years. I advanced in my career. I was really good at it. And I won a lot of awards. I mean, I even won a tiara one time. So that was super fun.
That's awesome.
Financially, I was able to buy homes. I was able to buy cars. I was able to take care of myself. There was no struggle. I was able to abundantly give to local charities and things like that. And then on March 16th of 2013, I had no idea how my life was going to change. And what was crazy about that was, I remember that day I got that call that my mom had had the stroke, and I walked into the ICU room, and there was my mom laying there on life support. And they told me she had 1% chance to live. And I didn't know from minute to minute if she was going to live or die. I remember, like, logically being, I'm 52 now, so I was a little younger then, but logically knowing how to communicate with the doctors. But every time they came in, is like, my emotions were that of an 8-year-old child who just wanted to say to them, like, don't let my mommy die,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember living in that ICU with her, and it was very, very different than my life. At my career, I knew how to succeed. I knew There was going to be an orientation, there was going to be a training, there was going to be people to train me on the programs we were using. I knew my benchmarks I needed to hit, and I didn't know any of that. There's no like book what to expect when you're watching somebody you love slowly die, and so yeah, it was really tough. My mom was a really strong woman, and she was taught us everything. My mom was who I went to, and there's my mom not able to talk. And I didn't,
Mhm.
I mean, I needed my mommy more than ever right then, you know?
Sure.
And so I had to figure out how to do that. And I really didn't know, because what happened was, me and my mom were both pretty successful. She had like, between her and I, we had, when the stroke happened, over like $300,000 in savings. We were doing really well. And then I knew she had really great insurance. And I thought, this is going to be great. She's got insurance. It's going to be wonderful. I had no idea how much insurance did not cover.
Mm.
And within a year and a half, we had gone through all of that $300,000 between the both of us. And yes, it was definitely different. I mean, at my job, it was really great, because if I closed a deal and did something good, I would get to like ring the bell and play my song. And there was never going to be a chance to play my song as my mom's caregiver, and
Yeah.
it was way easier to negotiate like a $300,000 contract than it was to negotiate with like the rapid response team. Please let me into my mother's room, because I don't know if this is going to be her last breath. It was way easier to figure out. They had one program at 9 a.m. and a different program at noon. It was way easier to figure that out than the time that I was driving in the car with my mom. She went unresponsive, and I had to figure out how to like rub her chest and revive her as I'm pulling over to the side of the road in traffic. It was super easier to remember like how to input things into Salesforce than it was to figure out how to, do the Heimlich maneuver on my paralyzed mother, who was in the car and had started choking, and she's strapped in. Yeah, all those things were way easier, and I
Yeah.
remember that last day at my job. I walked in at 9 o'clock, as I always did. And I remember looking at that little clock on my computer, that one that like never makes a sound. And it just got louder and louder and louder the closer it got to 5 o'clock. And towards the end of the day, this guy said to me, "Hey, Christina, can I have your headset?" And I was like, no, I hated that flipping headset. It always got tangled in my hair. It was a mess. It drove me crazy. But on that day, it was like my life preserver for like what was my old life that I was having no choice but to leave. Right. And nobody in the office knew what was going on. And I remember like it got to 6 o'clock, I'm feverishly entering things in like, Larry from XYZ company loves green socks, because it suddenly became really important. But it wasn't about those dang green socks. It was that I didn't want to leave normal. I didn't want to leave what felt safe and comfortable. And 6 o'clock came, I got it from my chair, and I walked out that door and got in that elevator, and I took the longest elevator ride of my life. And when those doors opened, I was no longer Christina Keys, the career woman. I was Christina Keys, the caregiver.
And we get training for the career woman. We don't get training for the caregiver.
Correct. Correct.
And that's in part why I refer to caregivers as care heroes, because it really is a heroic effort in all cases, really, to provide care for another human, but to make that transition. And we're just never prepared for that. I hate to say it, there are some things that maybe we could consider, but I'm guessing at your mom's age, that was not really on the radar.
No, honestly, our life was, we were studying like how to go to Hawaii, or like how to like, do home improvements. We were healthy. We were all very healthy. And there was no like what to expect when you're watching your mom slowly die. There was not one of those books. There wasn't. I remember even like some of the social workers and things in the hospital, they would give me this list of resources, and I would say, well, what does that mean? What questions do I ask? And they're like, oh, and even the guy who
Yeah.
came to ICU and had me sign the power of attorney, like, what does this mean? Does this mean like mom's gonna die and I have to like suddenly manage? And he walked out. I mean, like there was nobody there, right? And I think that was
Yes.
for me, like on my care journey for 4 years, I tried to do it all on my own. I tried to do it, while I was a career woman. I tried to figure it out. Well, I didn't have the help of my mother, who, even if she was able to communicate these things, she didn't know how to watch somebody she loved slowly die. And, I tried to figure out like what resources were there and how to do it on my own. I felt really, really lonely. I felt really lonely. I felt like nobody would understand. And, I started to isolate people who had been in my life forever, kind of, they just didn't know how to handle somebody going through that much grief. I didn't know how to handle going through that much grief. I had
Mhm.
no idea what anticipatory grief was. I thought the grief came after somebody died. I didn't know you're walking through it while you're watching them, and so what happened when I got that sort of, wake up call that said, you're going to die, I had to do something different. Right. And
Sure.
like you said, I had to make that choice. Am I going to like do something different? Or am I going to make arrangements for who's going to care for my mom after I die? Well, I spent 4 years not knowing what to do. And so I really had to redefine normal. I had to
Mhm.
redefine self care. I remember my first act of self care. And for any caregiver that's really trying to like live while they're watching a loved one die, like they might get this. My first act of self care, because there was no more like getting mani pedis, getting massages. Like
Yeah.
those days were long gone, and so was the money to do those things, right? My first act of self care was taking a blood pressure pill because I had high blood pressure at that time. And I had to text somebody for 30 days to say I had taken that. And that was my first act of self care. And I had to level up from there. Like
Wow.
that 30 seconds that it took me to do that, I had to level up to where now I have a lot of free time. And actually, my life now is so incredibly like I have my mother that I still care for. I'm very fortunate my mother's still alive. I also care for an ex boyfriend, and I'm also a foster mom, right? So I have a lot of things going on. But what's different is I've learned about the resources, I've learned about self care, I've learned how to redefine normal.
Absolutely. I think that what you just said is just so important. And I think that a lot of people listening and a lot of people not listening, um, we get blindsided. We
Yeah.
really do. I was not nearly as blindsided. This all happened. My parents needed care when they were 90. So much different
Mhm.
scenario. But I mean, I so sympathize when you say about it's a whole different language.
Right.
You're being asked for answers to questions that you're not really entirely sure you understand the meaning of the question, but we don't
Exactly.
really have options. And so, um, what I love about what you do with, and you can talk about this in a minute, but the loving them forward is that, you're providing support to people. And I think it was so hard from what it sounds like with you and me, when you're in the middle of the fire, you can't look for help,
Right.
but you're one of those people who lived through the fire and you're out there helping other people, which is
Right.
my
Well,
favorite kind of
yeah, I'm
people.
the daughter of Patricia Keys, and what she taught me is to be strong and not give up and figure out a way, right? I
Yes.
am, if the most important thing I am is the daughter of Patricia Keys. And I know
Oh,
that today because she made me who I am today.
oh,
And I'll tell you, when I had to um, change careers, and start working because honestly, for a caregiver, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday with 5 sick days a year is just not going to work anymore. So my old career was
mm-mm,
not a possibility, right? I worked
right.
business to business sales. I couldn't do that anymore, so I had to find something different. And I got into the retirement and senior industry, and I was in sales and marketing. I was a sales and marketing manager, and I had to one of the things I got to do was I got to build relationships with other resources in the community. And every time I'd meet somebody, I'd be like, oh my God, I had no idea that was a resource. And the more I got into it, I realized that if I would have known about all this, I would
Hmm.
not have had a near death experience myself. And so what I did was I actually partnered with this wonderful woman who's a real estate agent named Debbie Russell. She's actually one of the founders, like myself, of Loving Them Forward. And we started bringing in community education. We bring in experts. They'd talk about like self care, they'd talk about before, during, and after the funeral, downsizing, different things like that that we all need to know. And then it just kept building. I mean, we were doing like 4 to 6 of these a month, right? And
Wow.
finally, I said to somebody, "Hey, is there a senior resource fair around?" They said, "No, there used to be." And I said, "Well, there is now." And so we
Yeah.
created an annual senior resource fair, but we changed it to a senior and family caregiver resource fair. And the thing about our community here, Clark County, Vancouver, Washington, is there are so many resources and so many people willing to come together. And honestly, it's like that in every community. But
Mhm.
there hasn't been like one person who's brought them together. So it grew super fast, and we really didn't have any choice but to start loving them forward. And now with loving them forward, we are well over 100 businesses strong, and we help provide with the resources from everybody else, support for caregivers, a hotline for caregivers, resources, everything from dog care to legal services and everything in between. And we also do a lot of great events that say, "Hey, caregivers, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you. You are invisible heroes, and we love you and adore you."
And that is amazing because as we both know, when you're in the throes of it, especially in the beginning, and you don't even know the language or the
Right.
terminology or the resources or anything, I mean, you're not supported.
Right.
That's
Right.
so very, and that's what, when I first connected with you, I think it was on LinkedIn, you were looking for people, references for other people.
Right.
And I looked at your work and I'm like, wow, that is really, really amazing. And to
Hmm.
be able to find all of those kinds of resources and help for people, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, and they're in
Unless
the
people have been through this, they don't understand the value of it. This, I think, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think caregiving is such an interesting dynamic because people aren't going to pre-learn it.
right.
They're just not. They don't even know what to pre-learn. And then all of a sudden you're standing in the
Right.
middle of a fire, most
Right.
people. And you're like,
Yeah.
I got flames going here.
Right.
What
Right.
do I do? But I don't have
Right.
time to look for the extinguisher because I still got to keep doing it. And then you ended up where you did with kind of a life-threatening situation.
Right.
So I think the work that you've put together is amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm very fortunate to be part of a great community who really loves caregivers. And the thing about that is every community throughout the US, I'll tell you, they're there. All those
Yes.
resources, somebody just needs to bring them together. And that's what we did in Clark County in Vancouver, Washington. We are hyper local. So anybody who calls that hotline, they know that they're going to get resources right there in their town. So,
I think it is amazing. I've, checked out what you do, and you've done just a phenomenal job of making the right resources available to people easily. And
right,
I'm hopeful that, I kind of became aware of what you did, and now I'm starting to see some things that are happening in other parts of the country. And I'm hopeful that the United States is really starting to get a handle on helping people who provide care, because the statistics on the need for that in the next 5-10 years are absolutely staggering.
right.
People
And
who
they're
will be
all out.
providing care.
Yeah, the resources are out there. And, I'm
Yeah.
excited for what's to come in the future. We have done some exciting things. There's some exciting things coming up. And, I talked a little bit about the events that we do too here
Yeah.
locally, right? And I'll tell you, I had all of my best ideas come from horrible caregiving days, like horrible caregiving days. And I
Mhm.
was laying there one time, it was November. I had a massive migraine. I was thinking about, mom and my's Christmas. There was going to be no gifts. I was going to have to be doing damage control, explaining to mom why there's no gifts, why there's no money, why there's no family, and trying to keep her calm and trying to make it a holiday as well. And I thought, man, this is not the story of me and Christina Keys alone. It's the story of hundreds of thousands of
Oh
caregivers all
yeah.
across the US. And I got this idea. What if we did like a caregiver's Christmas, And I'm like, oh man, it's COVID, we can only
Oh
have six
jeez.
volunteers, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, wait, we can make it a drive-through. And
Oh,
luckily
cool.
for that day, I don't know if my board felt the same way, but I got on a board meeting. That was our scheduled board meeting that day. I got on that call. They said, listen, I have a migraine. I had a great idea. And they were like, okay, what is it? And I said, caregiver Christmas. We're going to make it a drive-through caregiver Christmas. We're going to give away hundreds of gift bags to all these caregivers who are never like appreciated, and they
Mhm.
don't normally get gifts. A lot of them can't afford it. And we wound up giving away like 400 caregiver bags that were worth $100 to $150 to caregivers throughout Clark County. It was the only county-wide event that anybody ever had for caregivers. And what was crazy about that was that, 600 other caregivers came through. And even though those caregivers didn't get a gift, they said to me personally, Christina, just the fact that you guys would do that and see us and value us is the gift. And caregivers would say, I've been a caregiver for 10 years and I've never seen anything like this. And I got to tell you, Jason Momoa or John Cusack himself could have given me a Christmas gift that year and it wouldn't have been as good as seeing those caregivers' faces and the joy. That was really the gift, to be able to let them know that we hear you, see you, and we appreciate you. So.
Now, Christina, if you can get Jason Momoa there, let's see if you can do it.
Well, I'm hoping, who knows, this year Clark County's coming together, and all the members of Loving Them Forward and some outside businesses too are coming together. We've got right now, we've got a Keller Williams team, Elfin, we've got Torchlight,
Awesome.
we've got quite a few other people coming together, and we're going to do 1,500 caregiver bags this year, and it's going to be epic. So be watching social media for that. Our launch party is this coming Friday, so it's going to be epic.
You guys do the coolest things, because I've checked it out and that is amazing. Can you talk about your newest project?
I can.
Okay, I was gonna say, I want to make sure we have enough time for you to talk about this, because this is today, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yay!
talk about being excited, right? I love doing what I do, right?
It shows.
Yeah, once again, going back to Jason Momoa and John Cusack, because by the way, did you know that I love them? And said, Christina, I love you. I'm going to give you all the money in the world you want. You can just shop and vacation. Or if somebody the new company I'm going to be working for, caregiving.com,
yes,
came to me and said, Christina, we're going to let you do what you've done with Loving Them Forward and make sure that all across the US, no caregiver is going to be left alone. And you're going to be able to bring community resources and caregivers together and make sure that no caregiver ever has to doubt if they're seen, heard, valued, or appreciated. I would choose this opportunity. And you know what? I choose caregiving.com and the opportunity to be the new director of community growth throughout the US rather than Jason Momoa. I'm just letting you say.
Yay!
I am so excited. It is like a dream come true, because I'm a caregiver on a mission to save caregivers' lives, because I almost died and I didn't have to. And I got to tell you, my mom did not watching her daughter almost die either. So in saving those caregivers' lives, we're also going to help provide a better quality of life for the people they're caring for. So it feels like my birthday that I get to do this, and I get to help caregivers across the whole US now.
And I think you're the perfect person to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. You're just you've been through the whole gamut, from your professional job through the depths of caregiving, through the heights of it, through organizing. Just everything. You've done the whole thing, and you are the perfect person to be working with.
Thank you so much.
Caregiving.com. And so I want to make sure that people know how to find you, how they can reach out to you. I know there's so much more to your story, but can you just share with people how to find you, how to get in touch with you?
Right now, you can look up Loving Them Forward on any social media platform, and we are there. You can also go to our website, lovingthemforward.org, or you can personally email me at ckeys@lovingthemforward.org. Or feel free to call the hotline at 360-524-4344. So feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help.
Awesome. And is your services are localized?
Right. Yes. Right. Loving Them Forward is hyper local. It's in Clark County. It's always going to be in Clark County. The work I'm doing for caregiving.com will be across the whole US. So yeah. And
I'm so excited for you. You have put so much time and effort and work into this, and I'm so excited that that's your announcement for today. So yeah. I'm glad you could do it today.
Yes.
Is there anything else, we've got another minute here. Is there anything else you want people listening to know?
Well, I just want you to know that there are hundreds of thousands of caregivers in your community. If you see them, let them know that they're appreciated. And if
Yeah.
you don't have a way to do that, but you want them to know they're appreciated, reach out to Loving Them Forward, be a part of the Caregivers Christmas this year, make a donation, be a sponsor, and be a part of bringing joy to caregivers at a time that are the hardest for them. So
Thank you. I just think that is so valuable, having like you come through that whole caregiving tunnel and you're still doing it. There's just not enough appreciation we can show the caregivers and support.
right.
And so I just so appreciate what you do. And I'm so glad you're going national. So
Yes.
I'm going to have to wrap up. I'm really sorry, but I want to thank you for coming and sharing all of that. I hope people will look at your website and reach out to you as well. So we'll be in touch soon. I want to thank, oops, sorry. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and sharing this time with me. There's so much more to hear about. You know, reach out to me with topics you want to hear about, or people like Christina or similar, you know, that have been through this journey or are on it, that can share their expertise and tell, you know, we can tell you what they're doing to help you guys that are still in the trench. You know, go to the website, trishlaub.com, and let me know where you're listening from. Please join me the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 12 Pacific and 3 Eastern. Next time on August 10th, I'll meet you here with an encore of my very first episode of the show, in which we talk about care heroes and what they are and why each of you is one. So I invite you to revisit that and to invite others as an introduction to the show. And until next time, remember that you are a care hero. Thank you for listening to A Cup of Comfort with me, Trish Laub, and for your Care Hero courage. Tune in next time on Transformation Talk Radio as we explore life-changing Care Hero topics to assist you on your journey. In the meantime, I would love to hear any tips or insights that you've taken away with you today. So head on over to trishlaub.com. That's Trish Laub, L-A-U-B as in boy.com, and leave a comment, a question you would like answered, or a topic you'd like to hear about in the future. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. So raise a cup and let's toast to all the amazing care heroes out there giving it their all. Until next time, remember that you are true heroes.